Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the quiet, earthy life of a medieval nunnery gardener, hour by hour, where the biggest drama is a wilted leek or a rogue snail. Picture this. You're tucked in a stone cell, the air crisp with early morning frost, a faint bell clanging in the distance. Your straw mattress crinkles under a scratchy wool blanket, and the world smells of damp earth and old incense. It's 1387, and you're a nun tasked with keeping the nunnery's garden thriving. No pressure, but if the herbs fail, the infirmary's out of luck, and the kitchen's serving plain gruel. You probably won't survive this level of serenity, but let's try. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The bell tolls again, sharp and insistent, dragging you from a dream of endless carrot rows. It's 4 a.m., or close enough. Clocks aren't exactly ticking in this Yorkshire nunnery. You swing your feet onto the cold flagstones, wincing as the chill bites your toes. Your habit, a heavy linen tunic and veil, hangs on a peg. It's stiff from yesterday's mud, but smells faintly of lavender you tucked into the folds. Dressing is a fumbling ritual in the dark, your fingers numb, the single candle on the shelf barely spitting light. You splash icy water from a clay basin onto your face, a jolt to shake off sleep. The nunnery is silent except for the distant shuffle of other sisters stirring, their soft coughs echoing down the corridor. You're not just any nun, you're the gardener, a role that's half laborer, half alchemist. The garden feeds the nunnery, heals the sick, and even funds the place through surplus sold at market. Historical records, like those from Barking Abbey, show nunneries often relied on their gardens for survival, growing everything from leeks to medicinal hyssop. Your hands, calloused and dirt-stained, are proof of that grind. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure chronicles, believed certain plants, like rue, could ward off evil spirits if planted in a cross pattern. You're skeptical but tried it once. Spoiler, the weeds didn't care. Stepping into the cloister, the air is damp, the sky a bruise of pre-dawn gray. You pass the chapter house, where the abbess might later scold someone for sneaking extra bread. Your cell, one of a dozen, is a 6 by 8 foot box with a narrow window slit. It's cozy in a hope-you-like stone way. You grab your leather satchel, slung over a shoulder, already picturing the garden gate. The bell's final clang means matins, the first prayers, are minutes away, but your mind's on the parsley patch. Something's been nibbling it, and you're betting on rabbits. Historians still argue whether medieval nuns had more freedom in practical roles like gardening versus cloister prayer duties. The jury's out, but you feel the garden's pull over the chapels. You trudge across the courtyard, boots sinking into dew-soaked grass. The nunnery's walls loom, built to keep the world out, but they can't stop the wind that sneaks through, rattling your veil. The garden's just beyond the refectory, a half-acre of ordered chaos. Raised beds of herbs, a few fruit trees, and a compost heap that's frankly a personality. You pause at the wooden gate, its hinges creaking like a tired monk. Inside, the air shifts, greener, alive with the tang of soil and mint. You kneel briefly, not praying, but checking a sage plant's roots. It's thriving. Thank goodness. Sister Agnes would have had your head if her cough syrup ran dry. A joke to keep you awake. Why did the medieval gardener quit? Too many time-consuming tasks. You smirk, brushing dirt off your hands. The sky's lightening. a pale gold smudging the horizon. Your breath clouds in the cold, and you rub your arms, wishing for the wool cloak left in your cell. The garden's your domain, but it's not all rosy, literally. Roses are prickly, and so's the work. You've got 8 hours of labor ahead, plus prayers, meals, and the occasional side eye from Sister Beatrice, who thinks gardening's unladylike. Spoiler, she's wrong, but you're too busy to argue. You start mentally mapping your day. After Matins, you'll breakfast, then hit the garden hard. The cabbages need checking. Last week, caterpillars stage a coup. You're also low on chamomile, which the infirmarian's been nagging about. The nunnery's rhythm is relentless. Prayer, work, eat, repeat, but the garden's your anchor. It's honest. Plants don't gossip or judge, unlike certain sisters. You glance at the chapel, its stained glass glowing faintly as candles are lit inside. Time to move. You sling your satchel higher, the tools inside clinking, a trowel, a pruning knife, and a bone-handled dibber you're weirdly attached to. The gate swings shut behind you, and you're already planning your first task. Those parsley-munching culprits won't know what hit him. You shuffle into the chapel, the air thick with the scent of beeswax and old wood, your boots leaving faint mud smears on the stone floor. It's just past dawn, and the nunnery's heart beats here, in this dim, vaulted space where flickering candles cast shadows on the walls. The other sisters are already filing in, their habits rustling, faces half hidden under veils. You find your usual spot near the back, close to a pillar that's slightly less freezing to lean against. Your knees creak as you lower yourself onto the worn prayer cushion, the cold seeping through your linen tunic. The bell's final toll fades, and the chant begins, a low hum of Latin that vibrates in your chest. You're supposed to be focused, but your mind wanders to the parsley patch. Those rabbits are probably plotting right now. Morning prayers, or matins, are non-negotiable in the nunnery, a ritual rooted in centuries of monastic tradition. Historical records, like the Rule of St. Benedict, show that nuns prayed up to 7 times daily, structuring their lives around devotion. You mouth the words, Domini, labia mea apries, but your fingers fidget with the edge of your veil, still damp from the courtyard dew. The psalms drone on, and you steal a glance at Sister Beatrice, who's glaring at a younger nun for sneezing mid-verse. Classic Beatrice. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some medieval nuns, according to obscure manuscripts, believed chanting certain psalms could bless the garden's yield. You tried it once on the leeks, jury's still out, but they did not grow. The chapel's glow is mesmerizing, with light filtering through the single stained glass window, painting the floor in reds and blues. It depicts Street Hilda, her serene face a reminder of the nunnery's legacy. You're not exactly a mystic, but the rhythm of the chants soothes you, like the soft hum of bees in the garden. Still, your knees ache, and the cushion's about as comfy as a rock. You shift slightly, earning a side eye from Sister Agnes, whose cough syrup relies on your chamomile harvest. No pressure. Historians still argue whether these prayer-heavy schedules left nuns like you enough time for practical work like gardening, or if the spiritual grind overshadowed everything else. You'd vote for the garden, but nobody's asking. A joke to keep things light. Why don't unskip prayers? Because they get a holy earful from the abbess. You stifle a smirk, adjusting your veil to hide it. The candles spit and flicker, their smoke curling toward the ceiling. You're surrounded by sisters, yet alone in your thoughts, picturing the garden gate creaking open, the scent of crushed mint underfoot. The chant shifts to a higher pitch, and you join in, your voice a soft thread in the tapestry of sound. It's not that you don't believe. Faith keeps this place humming. But the garden feels like your true prayer, each seedling a tiny act of hope. Your satchel rests at your feet, the tools inside a quiet promise of the day ahead. You're itching to get outside, but Matins isn't a sprint. It's a marathon of murmurs and genuflections. The wooden benches creak as the sisters shift, some stifling yawns. You catch a whiff of lavender from your habit, a callback to yesterday when you tucked a sprig into the folds. It's a small rebellion against the chapel's musty vibe. The air's getting stuffy, and you long for the open sky, the feel of soil under your nails. But you stay put, lips moving through the familiar words, your heart half here, half outside. The prioress, a stern woman with eyes like a hawk, leads the final hymn. Her voice is clear, cutting through the haze of sleepiness. You admire her, even if she once scolded you for tracking dirt into the cloister. The hymn ends, and you rise, knees protesting, to join the procession out. The chapel doors open, letting in a rush of cool air that smells of rain and earth. You pause at the threshold, glancing back at the altar where a single candle still burns. It's a moment of quiet, a bridge between the sacred and the mundane. You're a gardener, not a poet, but you feel the weight of it. Prayer feeds the soul, sure, but your herbs feed the body. Stepping into the cloister, you adjust your satchel, the trowel inside clinking softly. The sky's brighter now, a pale gold streaking the horizon, and the courtyard grass sparkles with dew. You pass the refectory, where breakfast waits. Nothing fancy, just bread and maybe some watered ale. Your stomach rumbles, but you're already thinking ahead to the garden. Those rabbits won't evict themselves, and the parsley's counting on you. The other sisters disperse, some to the scriptorium, others to the laundry. You're lucky in a way. Your work's outside under the sky, not cooped up with quills or wash tubs. But first, you've got to survive the refectory's silence and Sister Beatrice's judgy stares. Another quick joke. What's a nun's favorite hymn? Peace be with you. You grin, dodging a puddle as you cross the courtyard. The nunnery's waking up, a hum of activity behind its stone walls. Your role as gardener sets you apart, gives you a sliver of freedom the others might envy. The chapel's chants still echo in your head, blending with the chirp of sparrows outside. You're ready to trade psalms for plants, but the day's rhythm holds you tight. Prayer, eat, work, repeat. For now, you head toward the refectory, the promise of bread and a long day's labor pulling you forward. You step into the refectory, the air heavy with the scent of baked bread and faintly sour ale. The long wooden tables stretch across the stone-floored room, their surfaces worn smooth by decades of silent meals. Your boots scuff softly as you find your spot, squeezing onto a bench between Sister Agnes, who's still coughing, and a novice who looks like she's praying for escape. The refectory's quiet, save for the clink of wooden bowls and the occasional throat clearing. It's barely past 6 a.m., and the light filtering through the narrow windows paints the walls in soft gray. You're starving after matins, but your mind's half in the garden, picturing those rabbits munching your parsley like it's their personal buffet. Breakfast in a medieval nunnery, per records like those from Sion Abbey, was simple: bread, ale, and maybe a bit of cheese or porridge on a good day. Today it's coarse rye bread, a chunk the size of your fist, and a mug of weak ale that tastes like regret. You tear into the bread, its crust tough enough to double as armor. Chewing is a workout, but it's fuel for the day's labor. The ale's more water than booze, which is fine. Nobody's getting tipsy before weeding. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nunneries, according to odd chroniclers, believed ale brewed with certain herbs could purify the spirit. You sip yours, tasting only barley and disappointment, and decide your spirit's fine as is. You glance around, catching Sister Beatrice's eye across the table. She's nibbling her bread like it personally offended her, probably judging your dirt-stained hands. You wiggle your fingers at her, earning a scowl. The refectory's silence is a rule, not a suggestion. Talking's forbidden during meals to keep things holy. But your thoughts are loud, bouncing between the garden's to-do list and the lavender sprig still tucked in your habit. Its faint scent a callback to yesterday's harvest. You're tempted to hum a psalm, just to see if Beatrice's head explodes, but you don't. Barely. Historians still argue whether these strict meal silences were about devotion or control. Did they deepen prayer or just keep nuns in line? You're leaning toward control, especially when the prioress sweeps in, her gaze sharper than your pruning knife. She nods, signaling grace, and you bow your head, muttering thanks for the bread and the rabbits you're definitely evicting later. The novice next to you fumbles her mug, splashing ale on the table. You slide her a sympathetic look. She's new. She'll learn. Or she'll run screaming by let. A quick joke to lighten the mood. Why's nunnery bread so tough? Because it's kneaded with decaf. You smirk into your mug, careful not to snort. The ale's gone lukewarm, but you drain it, wiping your mouth with the back of your hand. The bread's sitting heavy in your stomach, a reminder of the long hours ahead. You're itching to get outside, where the air doesn't smell like damp wool and unspoken grudges. The refectory's walls, plastered with whitewash, feel closer every minute, and the benches are about as comfy as a penance. You notice a crumb on your habit and brush it off, revealing a faint mud streak from this morning's courtyard trek. Oops. Sister Agnes catches it too, raising an eyebrow. You shrug. Gardening's messy, and she's not complaining when her cough syrup's stocked. The meal drags on, the silence stretching like dough. You study the table's grain, worn by years of hands like yours, and wonder about the nuns who sat here before. Did they also dream of escaping to the garden, or were they actually into this whole silent breakfast vibe? Hard to say. The prioress claps once, sharp and final, signaling the meal's end. You rise, knees creaking from the chapel's earlier abuse, and join the line to stack your bowl. The novice hesitates, unsure where to go, so you nudge her toward the kitchen door. Small acts of kindness, right? Your satchel still slung over your shoulder, the tools inside, clinking as you move. You're already mentally in the garden, picturing the herb beds and the compost heap that's probably plotting world domination. The refectory's emptying out, sisters scattering to their tasks. Laundry, scriptorium, or if they're lucky, a nap disguised as contemplation. Stepping outside. The air hits you like a blessing, cool and sharp with the promise of rain. The courtyard's bustling now, a few sisters hauling water or sweeping the cloister. You dodge a puddle, your boots still damp from dawn, and head toward the garden gate. The bread's given you enough energy to tackle the morning, but you're already craving the midday pottage. Fingers crossed it's not just cabbage again. Another joke. What do nuns call bad ale? Brutal punishment. You grin, adjusting your veil as the wind tugs it. The garden's waiting, and those parsley-chomping culprits are about to meet their match. For now, you take a deep breath, savoring the freedom of the open sky before the day's work swallows you whole. You push through the garden gate, its familiar creak greeting you like an old friend, and step into your sanctuary. The air's alive with the sharp tang of crushed thyme and the earthy musk of soil, a stark contrast to the refectory's stale bread fumes. It's around 7 a.m., the sun climbing lazily over the nunnery's stone walls, casting long shadows across the half-acre of raised beds and fruit trees. Your boots sink into the dewy path, and you adjust your satchel, the tools inside, a trowel, pruning knife, and that bone-handled dibber you're weirdly fond of, clinking softly. The garden's a patchwork of order and chaos. Neat rows of sage and chamomile, a rebellious tangle of mint, and that compost heap in the corner, simmering with attitude. You're here to prep for the day's work, and those parsley-munching rabbits are still on your hit list. Medieval nunnery gardens like those documented at Wilton Abbey were vital, supplying food, medicine, and even income through market sales. Your job's no side gig. Every herb and vegetable keeps this place running. You start by the tool shed, a lean-to of weathered oak tucked against the wall. Inside, it's a treasure trove of rustic gear, spades, rakes, and a wicker basket for hauling clippings. You grab a hoe, its handle smooth from years of use, and sling the basket over your arm. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per odd monastic texts, thought burying a fish head under a plant could boost growth. You tried it once with a cabbage, smelled like regret, but the cabbage was massive. You kneel by the parsley bed, inspecting the damage. Tiny teeth marks mock you, and you mutter a not-so-holy curse under your breath. The culprits are long gone, probably napping in a burrow, but you'll deal with them later. For now, you survey the garden, mentally ticking off tasks. The chamomile's looking limp. Sister Agnes will have your head if her cough syrup runs dry. The lavender needs trimming, and the leeks are begging for a weeding. You brush dirt off your habit, a callback to this morning's mud-streaked refectory moment, and smirk. Sister Beatrice would faint at the state of you now. Historians still argue whether nunnery gardeners had specialized training or just learned by trial and error. Did someone teach you about soil, or did you figure out after killing a few rosemary bushes? Your team trial and error, mostly because nobody's got time for lectures when the cabbages are wilting. You drag the hoe along the path, its blade glinting in the morning light, and start clearing stray weeds from the herb beds. The work's rhythmic, almost meditative, the scrape of metal against earth blending with the chirp of sparrows overhead. Your veil keeps slipping, and you tuck it behind your ear, knowing it'll be a lost cause by noon. A joke to keep things breezy. Why's the garden so calm? Because it's full of decaf. You chuckle, wiping sweat from your brow. The sun's higher now, warming your back, and the air hums with the buzz of early bees. You pause to check a sage plant, its leaves fuzzy and fragrant. It's thriving, thank goodness. Last year, a frost took half the crop, and the infirmarian was not pleased. You snip a leaf, rubbing it between your fingers, and the scent grounds you, pulling you deeper into the moment. The garden's your chapel, in a way. Less Latin, more dirt, but just as sacred. You move to the fruit trees, a trio of gnarled apples at the garden's edge. They're not fruiting yet, but you check for pests, brushing off a few aphids with a flick of your thumb. The trees are older than you, their bark etched with time, and you wonder about the hands that planted them. Other nuns, maybe, who also dodged Beatrice's glares and dreamed of quiet mornings like this. You sling the basket higher, tossing in a handful of stray twigs, and head toward the compost heap. It's a steaming pile of vegetable scraps and manure, and you get a wide berth for now. Compost's a later problem. The nunnery's walls loom beyond the garden, cutting you off from the world, but you don't mind. Out here, you're free, or as free as a nun gets. The sky's a pale blue, streaked with clouds, and you take a deep breath, savoring the mix of herbs and dew. Your hands are already filthy, nails caked with dirt, but that's the job. You glance at the parsley again, plotting a rabbit-proof fence. Maybe some thorny twigs will do the trick. Another quick joke. What do you call a sneaky rabbit? A keratin stick artist. You grin, owing a final patch before setting the tool aside. The garden's prepped, and you're ready to dive into the real work. Weeding, harvesting, and keeping Sister Agnes's chamomile dreams alive. You're knee-deep in the garden now, the sun climbing higher, its warmth cutting through the morning chill. It's around 8 a.m., and the air buzzes with the hum of bees and the faint rustle of your linen habit as you crouch by a bed of chamomile. The herb's delicate white flowers nod in the breeze, but your eyes are on the weeds, stubborn, spiky intruders choking the roots. Your trowel's in hand, its blade worn but sharp, and you dig into the soil, prying out a dandelion with a satisfying pop. The earth's cool under your fingers, smelling of rain and secrets, and you're in your element, battling nature's chaos one weed at a time. Those parsley-munching rabbits are still on your mind, but for now, the weeds are the enemy. Medieval gardens, as records from places like Shaftesbury Abbey show, demanded constant weeding to protect crops vital for food and medicine. A single overgrown bed could spell disaster for the nunnery's kitchen or infirmary. You work methodically, tossing weeds into the wicker basket slung over your arm. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure herbal lore, believed dandelions could predict rain if their heads closed up tight. You glance at the one in your hand, wide open, mocking your hopes for a dry day. Typical. The chamomile's looking better already, but your knees ache from crouching and your veil's slipping again, a callback to this morning's refectory struggle. You tuck it back, smearing dirt on your cheek, and imagine Sister Beatrice's horror if she saw you now. She'd probably faint into her psalter. You move to the sage bed next, where clover's staging a coup. The trowel's your weapon, but the clover's tenacious, its roots tangled like gossip. You mutter to it, half joking, "Give up, you're not winning this." The garden's quiet, save for sparrows chirping and the distant clang of kitchen pot, and you lose yourself in the rhythm. Dig, pull, toss, repeat. Historians still argue whether medieval nuns saw gardening as spiritual work or just grunt labor. Did you find God in the soil or just blisters? You're leaning toward blisters, but there's a peace in this grind, a connection to the earth that prayers can't match. A quick joke to keep it light. Why do weeds love nunneries? They know you're too holy to curse them out. You smirk, yanking a particularly stubborn nettle, careful not to let it sting through your sleeve. The sun's getting insistent and sweat beads on your brow, but you're not stopping. The chamomile's counting on you, and Sister Agnes's cough syrup dreams are riding on this bed. You pause to stretch, your back creaking like the garden gate. The air's warming, carrying the sharp scent of crushed sage and a hint of lavender from that sprig still tucked in your habit. You spot a ladybug crawling on a leaf and nudge it gently. Ally, not enemy. The garden's a battlefield, but it's also alive, every plant and bug part of the dance. You move to the parsley bed, checking for more rabbit damage. The teeth marks are fresh, and you scowl, picturing those furry bandits laughing in their burrow. You'll weave a thorny barrier later, maybe using rose clippings. Let's see them chew through that. The basket's filling up, a heap of weeds and wilted stems, and you haul it to the compost heap, giving the steaming pile a wide berth. It's doing its job, turning scraps into gold, but it's not winning any perfume contests. You tip the weeds in, dusting off your hands, and glance at the sky. Clouds are gathering, soft and gray, but no rain yet. Good. You've got hours of work left, and wet habits are the worst. Another joke. What's a gardener's least favorite weather? A weed-wide downpour. You grin, brushing soil from your trowel, and head back to the beds. The leeks are next, their green tips poking through the soil like shy soldiers. You kneel again, digging out clumps of grass that don't belong. Your fingers are caked with dirt now, nails black, but you don't care. This is your domain, where you're not just a nun, but a keeper of life. The nunnery's walls fade away out here, and it's just you, the plants, and the endless tug of war with nature. You hum a snatch of this morning's psalm, then catch yourself, less holy, more habit. The garden doesn't judge, unlike certain sisters, and you're grateful for that. You stand, wiping your hands on your habit, adding another mud streak to the collection. The chamomile's clear, the sage is safe, and the leeks are holding strong. You've earned a moment to breathe, leaning against a gnarled apple tree. Its shade is a small mercy, and you close your eyes, letting the garden's hum wrap around you. The day's still young, and there's harvesting to come, but for now, you savor the quiet victory of a weed-free bed. The rabbits can wait, their reckoning's coming. You're back in the garden, the sun now a steady glow above the nunnery's walls, warming the earth under your boots. It's nearing 10 a.m., and the air's thick with the sweet, sharp scent of herbs, lavender, rosemary, and a whiff of mint that's staging a takeover in the corner. Your wicker baskets slung over your arm, empty again after dumping those weeds. And you've traded the trowel for your pruning knife, its blade glinting as you kneel by the lavender bed. Today's task is harvesting, snipping fragrant stems for the infirmary's potions and the chapel's incense. Your habit's already a canvas of dirt streaks, a callback to this morning's weeding war, and your veil's given up staying put, flapping like a tired flag. Those rabbits are still on your mind, but the lavender's calling and Sister Agnes's nagging about her cough syrup looms large. Medieval nunneries, like those detailed in records from Lachic Abbey, relied heavily on herb gardens for medicinal brews, with lavender and rosemary as staples for everything from headaches to melancholy. You slice through a lavender stem, careful to cut above the woody base, and drop it into the basket. The scent's intoxicating, a cloud of calm that makes you pause, breathing deep. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure herbal texts, believe lavender sprinkled under a pillow could chase away bad dreams. You've tried it. Works better than chanting psalms at midnight, if you're honest. You move to the rosemary, its needle-like leaves brushing your fingers as you snip. The infirmarian needs this for her joint salves, and you're not about to let her down. Sister Agnes is scary when she's low on supplies. The basket's filling fast, purple and green piles mingling, and you hum a snatch of this morning's Matins hymn. Then stop, glancing around. Nobody's here to judge, but you're still a nun, not a minstrel. The garden's alive, bees droning lazily, and you spot a ladybug from earlier still patrolling the sage. You nod at it, like it's your coworker. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Historians still argue whether nuns like you were trained herbalists or just glorified farmers. Did you study Galen's texts, or just learn by watching plants live or die? Your team watch and learn, mostly because the only book you've touched lately is the soil itself. A quick joke to keep it light. Why is rosemary so loyal? It's always branching out for you. You smirk, tucking another stem into the basket. The sun's climbing, and sweat trickles down your back, your habit sticking to your skin. You'd kill for a breeze, but the nunnery's walls block most of it, leaving you in a warm, green bubble. You shift to the chamomile bed, snipping delicate flowers for Agnes's precious syrup. The petals are fragile, and you work slowly, cursing under your breath when one crumbles. Your hands are steady, though calloused from years of this grind. The parsley bed's nearby, and you glare at it, those rabbit teeth marks still mocking you. You're half tempted to harvest the whole thing just to spite them, but you don't. Parsley's too valuable, and the kitchen would riot. Instead, you focus on the chamomile, its apple-like scent mixing with the lavender's perfume. It's a good haul, and you're proud, even if nobody's throwing you a parade. The basket's heavy now, and you stand, stretching your creaky knees. A cloud drifts over the sun, casting a brief shadow, and you take it as a sign to pause. Leaning against an apple tree, you brush dirt from your knife, its bone handle warm from your grip. The garden's a patchwork of colors: purple lavender, green rosemary, white chamomile, and you feel a quiet pride. This is your work, your mark on the nunnery's rhythm. Another joke. What do you call a nun's herb garden? A holy basil patch. You grin, adjusting your satchel, the trowel inside clinking as a reminder of the weeding you tackled earlier. You glance at the compost heap, still steaming in the corner like it's got its own agenda. You'll deal with it later. Harvesting's the priority now. The sky's still clear, but those clouds are lingering, and you hope the rain holds off. Wet herbs are a pain to dry, and the infirmarian's picky about mold. You sling the basket higher, careful not to crush the chamomile, and head toward the sage bed for a final snip. The nunnery's walls loom beyond, but out here, you're free. The garden your chapel, your kingdom. The rabbits can wait. Their parsley heist isn't over, but you're winning this round, one fragrant stem at a time. You trudge back to the refectory, your wicker basket of herbs safely stashed in the infirmary shed, its lavender and rosemary scents still clinging to your hands. It's near noon, the sun high and relentless, baking the courtyard's grass to a crisp. Your habit's a mess, dirt streaks from weeding, a chamomile petal stuck to your sleeve, and that lavender sprig, now wilted, still tucked in a fold from this morning's dawn hustle. The refectory's stone walls promise shade, but the air inside is warm and heavy, smelling of boiled cabbage and faintly of the bread you choked down at breakfast. You slide onto a bench, stomach growling loud enough to earn a glance from the novice next to you. It's time for the midday meal, a brief pause before you're back battling rabbits and weeds, and you're hoping for something heartier than ale-flavored water. Medieval nunnery meals, as noted in record from places like Romsey Abbey, were basic but crucial, often featuring pottage, a thick stew of vegetables, grains, and whatever herbs you could spare. Today's offering is a steaming bowl of barley pottage, flecked with leeks and a hint of thyme you harvested last week. You spoon it up, savoring the warmth. Though it's a bit bland, Sister Cook's not winning any medieval Michelin stars. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per odd chronicles, believed stirring pottage clockwise could bring good fortune. You give your bowl a half-hearted swirl, smirking. Fortune's nice, but you'd settle for rabbit-proof parsley. The refectory's quieter than breakfast, the silence rule still ironclad. You chew slowly, avoiding Sister Beatrice's gaze across the table. She's poking her pottage like it's a personal insult. You're tempted to flick a leak at her just to see if she'd break the silence with a shriek, but you don't. Your hands, still gritty from the garden, rest on the table, and you catch a whiff of rosemary, a callback to the morning's harvest. The novice beside you is struggling, spoon trembling as she tries not to slurp. You nudge her bowl closer, a small kindness, and she flashes a grateful look. Newbies have it rough. Historians still argue whether these communal meals fostered sisterly bonds or just bottled up tensions. Did you all grow closer over pottage, or was the silence a pressure cooker for grudges? Your team grudges, especially when Beatrice is staring daggers. A quick joke to lighten the mood. Why is pottage so holy? It's made with decaf and prayers. You stifle a grin, sipping water from a wooden mug. Ale's off the menu for lunch, sadly. The pottage is filling, though, and you're grateful for the leeks, even if you had to wrestle caterpillars to save them last month. Your stomach's happy, but your mind's already back in the garden, plotting your next move. You glance around, the refectory's whitewashed walls glowing faintly in the midday light. The benches are packed, sisters eating with mechanical precision, some stealing glances at the prioress, who's perched at the head table, her spoon moving like she's conducting a psalm. You're itching to escape, the garden's open sky calling louder than the clink of spoons. Your satchel's under the bench, tools clinking softly as you shift, a reminder of the watering rounds waiting outside. The pottage has gone too fast, and you scrape the bowl, wishing for seconds. No luck. Nunnery life's not about indulgence, unless you count Beatrice's self-righteous glares as a treat. Another joke, what do nuns call a bad cook? A stupendous failure. You bite your lip, hiding a smirk as you stack your bowl. The prioress claps, sharp and final, and the sisters rise, benches scraping. You're up fast, eager for fresh air, but you pause to help a novice with her bowl, pointing her toward the kitchen. She mumbles thanks, and you nod, slinging your satchel over your shoulder. The refectory's emptying, sisters scattering to their tasks, some to the laundry, others to the scriptorium. You're the lucky one, headed back to the garden, where the only boss is the sun and the only drama is a chewed-up parsley patch. Stepping outside, the heat hits you, but it's better than the refectory's stuffy air. The courtyard's alive with activity, a sister hauling a water bucket, another sweeping the cloister. You dodge a stray chicken. Someone's got to fix that coop and head for the garden gate. The pottage sits heavy, giving you energy for the afternoon's grind. You're thinking about the chamomile, still fragile after this morning's harvest, and the leeks that need watering. Those rabbits are still out there, probably plotting their next parsley heist, but you're ready. The garden's your turf, and with a full stomach, you're feeling just bold enough to take them on. You're back in the garden, the midday sun blazing overhead, turning the air into a warm, heavy blanket. It's around 1 p.m., and the scent of sun-baked earth mixes with the sharp tang of thyme and the faint cabbage whiff from that pottage you just downed. Your boots crunch on the gravel path as you haul a wooden bucket, its iron handle biting into your palm. Watering rounds are up next, a sweaty slog to keep the nunnery's herbs and vegetables from wilting. Your habit's a disaster. Dirt from weeding, chamomile crumbs from harvesting, and that wilted lavender sprig still clinging to the folds like a sad trophy. Those parsley chomping rabbits are still on your radar, but right now, the leeks and chamomile are begging for a drink, and you're the only one answering. Medieval gardens, as record from places like Barking Abbey confirm, relied on manual watering, often from wells or nearby streams, to survive dry spells. You trudge to the well at the garden's edge, its stone rim worn smooth by years of hands like yours. The bucket clunks against the sides as you lower it, the rope creaking under the weight. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure folklore, believe singing to water before pouring it could make plants grow faster. You hum a half-hearted psalm as the bucket fills, mostly to amuse yourself. Sister Beatrice would have a fit if she caught you serenading the well. The water's cold, splashing your sleeves as you haul it up, and you wince, your habit now damp and heavier. You start with the leeks, their green tips drooping slightly in the heat. You pour slowly, letting the soil drink, careful not to drown the roots. The ground slurps it up, and you feel a small victory, like you're coaxing life back into the garden. Your satchel slung over your shoulder, tools clinking. A callback to this morning's weeding frenzy, and you're already sweating, the sun laughing at your veil's attempts to stay put. You tuck it back, smearing mud on your forehead, and keep moving. Historians still argue whether nuns like you managed water-intensive gardens alone or had lay helpers. Did you halt every bucket, or did some village kid pitch in for a crust of bread? Your team solo, mostly because the nunnery's too stingy to hire help, and you're too stubborn to ask. A quick joke to keep it breezy. Why is watering so tough? Because the plants are thirsty for drama. You smirk, lugging the bucket to the chamomile bed. The delicate flowers perk up as you pour, and you're careful, remembering Sister Agnes's cough syrup obsession. If these wilt, you'll never hear the end of it. You make trips back and forth to the well, arms aching, buckets sloshing. The sage bed's next, its fuzzy leaves glistening as water pools around the roots. You spot a ladybug, your sage patrolling buddy from earlier, and give a nod. The garden's a team effort, even if the bees and bugs don't pull their weight with buckets. The parsley bed's nearby, and you pause, glaring at those rabbit teeth marks. You're half tempted to douse it in water just to mess with their plans, but you don't. Parsley's too precious, and the kitchen's counting on it. Instead, you pour gently, plotting that thorny fence you swore to build. Another joke. What do you call a wet garden? A puddle of piety. You grin, wiping sweat from your brow with a dirt-streaked sleeve. The sun's relentless, and your habits sticking to your back, but you're in the zone, bucket after bucket, bed after bed. The compost heap in the corner steaming, its stench wafting over, and you give it a wide berth. Watering's enough of a chore without dodging that smell. The sky's still clear, but clouds are creeping in, and you hope rain stays away. Wet herbs are a moldy nightmare, and you've got enough problems. You finish with the lavender, its purple spikes swaying as water soaks the soil. Your arms are screaming, and the bucket's empty again, so you set it down, leaning against an apple tree for a breather. The shade's a mercy, and you close your eyes. The gardens hum, bees, rustling leaves, distant kitchen clatter, wrapping around you. Your hands are pruned from water and caked with dirt, but you're proud. The leeks are standing taller, the chamomile's happy, and the sage is practically waving thanks. The rabbits can plot all they want. You're keeping this garden alive, one heavy bucket at a time. You're still in the garden, the sun now a touch softer as it slides past its peak, casting dappled shadows across the herb beds. It's around 2 p.m., and the air hums with the drone of bees and the faint metallic tang of your pruning knife, tucked back in your satchel after the morning's harvest. Your habit's a battlefield. Mud from weeding, water stains from watering rounds, and that sad lavender sprig, now a crumpled relic in your folds. The bucket's back by the well, and you're on pest patrol, stalking through the garden like a sheriff hunting outlaws. Rabbits, beetles, and birds are your targets, all conspiring to turn your parsley and leeks into their personal feast. You're not having it, not after hauling all that water to keep this place alive. Medieval gardeners, as noted in records like those from Sion Abbey, faced constant pest battles, using everything from nets to scarecrows to protect crops vital for survival. You crouch by the parsley bed, eyes narrowing at fresh teeth marks. Those rabbits are bolder than Sister Beatrice's glares. You scatter a few thorny rose clippings around the base, a prickly keep-out sign. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per odd herbal lore, believed hanging garlic bulbs could repel pests and bad spirits. You tried it once. Pests didn't care, but the garden smelled like a kitchen mishap for weeks. You moved to the leeks, spotting a cluster of black beetles munching happily. With a flick of your thumb, you knock them into a small clay pot you keep for this. Cruel, maybe, but the leeks are family. Your satchel clinks, a callback to the trowel you used to evict weeds, and you're already sweaty again, the sun ignoring your pleas for a cloud. The veil's a lost cause, flapping loose, and you tie it back, dirt smudging your cheek. You catch a whiff of chamomile, a reminder of Sister Agnes's syrup, and hope she appreciates the pest-free herbs you're defending. Historians still argue whether nuns like you used systematic pest control or just prayed for divine intervention. Did you study bugs or just swat and hope? Your teams swat and hope, mostly because nobody's writing pest manuals in 1387. A quick joke to keep it light. Why do beetles hate nuns? They're always getting squashed in prayer. You smirk, shaking the pot to quiet the beetle scuttling. Next, you check the apple trees, where sparrows are eyeing the unripe fruit. You clap your hands, sending them flapping, and consider rigging a net. Later, though, when your arms aren't screaming from bucket duty. The sage bed's mostly clear, but you spot a caterpillar, fat and green, chowing down. You pluck it off, dropping it into the pot with a sigh. Sorry, buddy, but the sage is spoken for. The garden's a war zone, every leaf a battleground, but you're winning one pest at a time. You pause by the lavender, its purple spikes swaying, and check for aphids. A few linger, and you brush them off, gentle but firm. Your ladybug ally from earlier's still patrolling, and you give it a nod. Keep up the good work. The compost heaps steaming nearby, its stench wafting, and you steer clear, focused on the beds. Another joke. What's a rabbit's favorite game? Hopscotch over the parsley. You grin, wiping sweat from your brow with a filthy sleeve. The sky's holding clear, but clouds are thickening, and you're praying the rain waits. You've got enough to handle without a muddy pest parade. You circle back to the parsley, inspecting your thorny barrier. It's crude but effective, and you add a few more clippings, muttering, "Try me now, fluff balls." The leeks are safe for now, and the chamomile's untouched. Thank goodness. Sister Agnes would haunt you if a beetle got there first. You stand, stretching your back, the garden's hum wrapping around you. Bees, rustling leaves, a distant chicken clucking. Your hands are gritty, nails black, but you're proud. The beds look stronger, the pests are on notice, and the rabbits are out of luck. You sling your satchel higher, the knife inside a quiet promise of more work to come. The nunnery's walls loom beyond, but out here, you're the boss, keeping the garden alive against all odds. The beetles are contained, the birds are spooked, and the rabbits are rethinking their life choices. For now, you've got this patch of earth under control. You leave the garden behind, the parsley bed's thorny defenses holding firm against those sneaky rabbits. It's around 3 p.m., and the sun's starting to soften, casting a golden haze over the nunnery's courtyard. Your habit's a walking archive. Mud from weeding, water stains from watering, beetle smudges from pest patrol, and that wilted lavender sprig still crumbling in the folds. You're headed to the chapel for afternoon prayers, or vespers, your boots scuffing the flagstones as you cross the cloister. The air's cooler now, scented with distant wood smoke and the faint tang of your chamomile harvest, a callback to Sister Agnes's syrup dreams. Your satchel slung over your shoulder, tools quiet for once, but your knees are already groaning at the thought of more kneeling. Vespers, as documented in monastic records like those of Wilton Abbey, were a key part of the nunnery's daily rhythm, a pause to chant psalms as the day waned. You slip into the chapel, the familiar scent of beeswax and old wood wrapping around you. The candles flicker, their light dancing on the stained glass window of St. Hilda, and you find your spot near the back, where the pillar's slightly less icy. You kneel, wincing as your knees hit the stone, the prayer cushion about as soft as a plow. The sisters' voices rise, a low, lilting chant, Deus in adiutorium meum intend, and you join in, though your mind's half on the leeks you watered earlier. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure chronicles, believed Vespers chants could bless the garden if sung with pure intent. You're not sure about purity, but you gave a go with the sage last spring. Didn't hurt, didn't help. Your hands, still gritty from pest patrol, fidget with your veil, which is barely hanging on after a day of garden chaos. Sister Beatrice is up front, her voice sharp and showy, and you resist rolling your eyes. She'd probably faint if she saw the dirt under your nails, a match for the mud streaks from this morning's weeding. The chapel's dim, the air thick, and you're fighting a yawn as the psalms drag on. Historians still argue whether these prayer-heavy schedules left nuns like you enough energy for practical tasks. Did Vespers recharge your soul, or just your blisters? Your team blisters, especially now, with your back aching from bucket hauling. A quick joke to keep it light. Why do nuns love Vespers? It's their kneel-good moment of the day. You smirk, lips barely moving as you chant, careful not to catch the prioress's hawk-like gaze. The novice from breakfast is nearby, fumbling her psalter, and you slide her a sympathetic glance. She'll get the hang of it, or she'll be scrubbing pots by Easter. The candles spit, their smoke curling upward, and you shift slightly, your knees screaming. The chapel's a cocoon of sound, the sisters' voices weaving a tapestry you're part of, even if your heart's still in the garden. You picture the parsley bed, its thorny barrier holding strong, and hope the rabbits are sulking. The chant shifts, higher and slower, and you follow, your voice soft but steady. It's not that you don't feel the prayer. There's a calm in the rhythm, like the hum of bees, but the garden's your true altar, each plant a hymn you can touch. Another joke, what's a nun's favorite psalm? Let us pray. You bite your lip, hiding a grin as you adjust your satchel, the trowel inside nudging your hip. The prioress leads the final hymn, her voice cutting through the haze, and you admire her focus, even if she once chewed you out for tracking mud in here. The hymn ends, and you rise, knees creaking louder than the garden gate. The sisters file out, their habits rustling, and you linger a moment, watching a candle's flame waver. It's a bridge between the sacred and the dirt, and you're ready to get back to the ladder. Stepping into the cloister, the air's crisp, the sky streaked with early evening pinks. The courtyard's quieter now, most sisters at their tasks, laundry, scriptorium, or sneaking a nap. You're headed back to the garden, where the compost heap's waiting, probably plotting its next stench. Your hands smell faintly of rosemary, a leftover from this morning's harvest, and you rub them together, grounding yourself. Vespers gave you a pause, but the garden's calling, and you've got manure to turn and plants to check. The rabbits might be plotting, but you're ready, armed with thorns and a full day's grit. You're back in the garden, the late afternoon light bathing the herb beds in a soft, golden glow. It's around 4 p.m., and the air's cooling, carrying the earthy musk of soil and a faint whiff of the pottage leeks from lunch. Your habit's a walking testament to the day, mud from weeding, water stains from watering, beetle smudges from pest patrol, and that lavender sprig, now a dusty memory in your folds. You're at the compost heap, the garden's smelly heart, ready to turn manure and vegetable scraps into what you jokingly call black gold. Your trowels in hand, and your satchel slung nearby, its tools quiet after Vesper's holy timeout. Those parsley-munching rabbits are still lurking in your thoughts, but right now, you're wrestling with a pile that smells like it's plotting revenge. Compost was a medieval gardening staple, with records from nunneries like Lachic Abbey showing how nuns recycled kitchen and garden waste to enrich soil. You stab the heap with a pitchfork borrowed from the shed and start turning. The mix of manure, cabbage leaves, and wilted herbs releasing a pungent cloud. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure folklore, believe a compost heap blessed by a priest could yield miraculous crops. You tried a quick prayer over this pile once, mostly to cover the stench, but the only miracle was not gagging. Your veil slips as you work and you tie it back, smearing compost dust on your cheek, a callback to this morning's dirt-streaked refectory moment. The heap's heavy, and your arms strain as you flip layers, mixing green scraps with brown. The goal is to keep it cooking, breaking down into rich, crumbly soil for next season's beds. You spot a worm, fat and wriggling, and gnawed at it. Teamwork makes the dream work. The garden's quieter now, the bees winding down, though a sparrow's still chirping, probably laughing at your sweaty struggle. Sister Beatrice would clutch her psalter if she saw you elbow deep in manure, but out here, you're the boss, and this heap's your masterpiece. Historians still argue whether nuns like you saw composting as science or just dirty necessity. Did you understand decomposition or just follow tradition? Your team tradition, mostly because nobody's explaining bacteria in 1387, but you know a good heap when you smell it. A quick joke to keep it light. Why is compost so nun-friendly? It's the holy grail of gardening. You grin, wiping sweat with a filthy sleeve, and keep turning. The chamomile bed's nearby, its flowers perky after your watering rounds, and you're glad. Sister Agnes's syrup dreams depend on it. You pause to catch your breath, leaning on the pitchfork. The compost steaming, a sign it's working, and you're proud, even if it's not exactly chapel-worthy. The parsley bed's in view, its thorny barriers still holding, and you smirk, imagining the rabbits sulking. Your hands are caked with dirt and worse, but you don't care. This is the garden's cycle, turning waste into life. You toss in a pile of leek tops from yesterday, mixing them in, and the heap groans, settling under your work. The sun's dipping, painting the sky in pinks and oranges, and you feel the day's weight in your bones. Another joke. What do you call a smelly heap? A pungent prayer. You chuckle, adjusting your satchel, the trowel inside clinking softly. The air's fresher away from the heap, and you step back, checking the beds. The leeks are standing tall, the sage is thriving, and the lavender's purple spikes sway gently. You're tempted to check the apple trees for aphids, but the compost enough for now. Your arms are screaming, and Vesper's kneeling didn't help. The nunnery's walls loom beyond, cutting off the world, but the garden's your world, and you're keeping it alive, one stinky pile at a time. You set the pitchfork aside, dusting your hands, though it's pointless, they're a lost cause. The compost's turned, ready to simmer through the night, and you're satisfied. The sky's deepening, clouds gathering, but rain's still holding off. Thank goodness. Wet manure's a nightmare. You glance at the well, remembering those heavy buckets, and shudder. No more hauling today. The garden's humming, a quiet symphony of growth, and you're part of it, dirt and all. The rabbits can plot their parsley heist, but you're ready, armed with thorns and a heap that's practically a weapon. For now, you breathe deep, savoring the moment before the next task pulls you back in. You're still in the garden, the late afternoon sun dipping low, painting the herb beds in a warm, amber glow. It's around 5 p.m., and the air's turning crisp, scented with the sharp tang of sage and the lingering stench of that compost heap you wrestled earlier. Your habit's a wreck. Mud from weeding, water stains from watering, manure smudges from composting, and the ghost of that lavender sprig. Now just dust in your folds. You're under a gnarled apple tree, its shade a small mercy, sharpening a rusty spade with a whetstone. Tool repairs the task now, keeping your gear ready for tomorrow's grind. Your satchel's nearby, tools spilling out, and those parsley-munching rabbits are still on your mind. But the spade's dull edge is the immediate foe. Medieval gardeners, as noted in records from Shaftesbury Abbey, maintained their own tools, often sharpening or mending them to keep gardens productive. You scrape the whetstone along the spade's blade, sparks flicking, the metal singing a high, grating tune. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure folklore, believed a tool sharpened under a full moon cut soil truer. You tried it once, mostly because you were up late dodging Sister Beatrice's snores, and the spade worked fine, but you're not sold on lunar magic. Your hands, caked with dirt and now metal dust, grip the handle, a callback to the compost turning slog, and you focus, aiming for a clean edge. The tree's bark is rough against your back, and you shift, your veil slipping again. Honestly, it's more trouble than it's worth. You tie it back, smearing grit on your forehead, and imagine Beatrice's horror your state. She'd probably pray for your soul and the spades. The garden's quiet, the bees winding down, though a sparrow's still chattering, maybe cheering you on. You glance at the parsley bed, its thorny barrier holding strong, and smirk. Those rabbits are out of luck. The chamomile's nearby, looking perky after your watering rounds, and you're relieved. Sister Agnes's cough syrup dreams are safe for now. Historians still argue whether nuns like you were skilled craftspeople or just made do with tool repairs. Did you learn metalwork or just hack it with a stone? Your team hack it mostly because nobody's teaching blacksmithing in the nunnery, but you're getting the job done. A quick joke to keep it light. Why is a sharp spade holy? It cuts through sin and soil. You grin, testing the blade with your thumb, sharp enough to slice weeds, not fingers. The sun's sinking, and the air's cooler, a breeze sneaking past the nunnery's walls. You move to a rusty trowel next, its handle worn smooth, and start grinding, the rhythm soothing like a chant without the kneeling. Your satchel's a mess, the bone-handled dibber you love poking out, a reminder of this morning's weeding war. You pause to check the apple tree above, its branches heavy with unripe fruit. No aphids today, thanks to your pest patrol, and you nod at your ladybug ally, still cruising the sage. The garden's a team effort, even if you're the one sweating. You sharpen the trowel's edge, sparks flying, and think about the leaks standing tall after your watering. Every tool matters. Blunt ones make weeding a nightmare, and you're not here to suffer. Another joke. What do you call a dull tool? A pointless prayer. You chuckle, brushing metal dust off your habit, adding to the day's grime collection. The sky's turning pink, clouds streaking the horizon, and you're praying rain holds off. Wet tools rust faster, and you're not doing this again tomorrow. You finish the trowel, its edge gleaming, and set it aside, grabbing a pruning knife next. The blade's nicked from rosemary snips, and you work carefully, the whetstone scrape blending with the garden's hum. Rustling leaves, distant kitchen clatter. You're tired, your arms heavy from compost and buckets, but this feels good, like prepping for battle. The nunnery's walls loom beyond, but under this tree, you're free, sharpening your arsenal one blade at a time. You stand, stretching your creaky back, and test a knife. It's ready to tackle lavender tomorrow. The spade and trowel are good, too, and you're proud, even if nobody's singing your praises. The garden's alive, the bed's thriving, and your tools are sharp enough to keep it that way. You sling your satchel over your shoulder, tools clinking, and glance at the compost heap, still steaming like it's got a grudge. The rabbits can plot, but you're armed, literally, and ready for whatever they throw at you. For now, you breathe deep, the sage-scented air grounding you, and savor the quiet before the next task pulls you back. You're back in the garden, the evening light fading into a soft purple dusk, wrapping the herb beds in a gentle haze. It's around 6 p.m., and the air's cool, scented with the sweet bite of lavender and the earthy echo of that compost heap you tamed earlier. Your habit's a chronicle of the day. Mud from weeding, water stains from watering, manure smudges from composting, and a faint trace of metal dust from sharpening tools under the apple tree. You're on evening harvest duty now, snipping late-blooming herbs as the day winds down. You're pruning knives in hand, its freshly sharpened edge glinting, in your wicker baskets slung over your arm, ready for a final haul. Those parsley-munching rabbits are still out there, but the thorny barrier's holding, and you're focused on gathering what the fading light allows. Medieval nunnery gardens, as records from Romsey Abbey show, often had staggered harvests to maximize yields, with evening picks catching herbs at peak potency for medicinal use. You kneel by the lavender bed, slicing stems that bloomed late, their purple spikes still fragrant despite the cooling air. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure herbal lore, believed herbs cut at dusk held moonlight strength for stronger potions. You're skeptical. Moonlight's nice, but you're here for Agnes's cough syrup, not fairy tales. Your veil slips, as usual, and you tuck it back, smearing dirt on your cheek, a callback to this morning's weeding war. Sister Beatrice would probably exorcise you for looking this feral. The basket fills slowly, lavender, a few sprigs of thyme, and some chamomile that's still hanging on. You work carefully, the knife's edge precise, a nod to your tool sharpening stint. The chamomile's delicate, and you curse softly when a petal falls. Sister Agnes is picky about her brews. The garden's quiet, the bees gone to bed, though alone crickets chirping, setting a sleepy rhythm. You glance at the parsley bed, its thorny defenses glowing faintly in the dusk, and smirk. Those rabbits are probably cursing your name. Your satchel's nearby, the bone-handled dibber poking out, a reminder of the day's grind. And you're tired, but the harvest's worth it. Historians still argue whether evening harvests were strategic or just practical. Did you pick at dusk for potency, or because prayers ate up your day? Your team practical, mostly because vespers and pottage left you no choice. A quick joke to keep it light. Why harvest at dusk? Because the herbs are time-ly then. You grin, snipping a thyme sprig, its sharp scent waking you up. The air's chilly now, and your habit's no match with the breeze, but you're in the zone, knife flashing as you gather what the garden offers. The leeks are nearby, standing tall after your watering, and you're proud. Every stem in your basket is a win for the nunnery. You move to the sage, its fuzzy leaves cool under your fingers. The infirmarian needs it for salves, and you cut generously, knowing winter's coming and fresh herbs will be scarce. A ladybug, your sage patrolling pal, crawls nearby and you nudge it gently, whispering, "Good shift, comrade." The garden's your team, even if the bugs don't haul baskets. Another joke. What do you call a late harvest? A sage decision. You chuckle, brushing a chamomile petal off your sleeve, adding to the day's debris. The sky's deepening, stars peeking out, and you're racing the dark. Torches aren't an option, and candles are for the chapel, not your dirt kingdom. The basket's heavy, and you stand, knees creaking from too much kneeling. The compost heap's a dark shape in the corner, still steaming, and you give it a wide berth. Its stench doesn't need a dusk encore. You check the lavender one last time, snipping a final stem for yourself, tucking it into your habit to replace the morning's casualty. The nunnery's walls loom beyond. They're stone cold in the fading light, but out here, you're free. The garden's hum, crickets, rustling leaves, your own soft breaths. Your only rule. The rabbits can plot, but you've got thorns and a basket full of victory. You sling the basket higher, careful not to crush the chamomile, and head toward the shed to store your haul. The air's sharp, the dusk settling like a blanket, and you're ready for night prayers, though your heart's still here with the herbs and the quiet. The garden's alive, its beds thriving under your care, and you're proud, even if nobody's chanting your name. For now, you breathe deep, the lavender's scent grounding you, and savor the last light before the chapel calls you back. You leave the garden, your basket of dusk-harvested herbs safely stowed in the shed, their lavender and thyme scents trailing behind you. It's around 7 p.m., and the nunnery's cloister is cloaked in twilight, the air sharp with the chill of early night and a faint wood smoke tang from the kitchen. Your habit's a tapestry of the day. Mud from weeding, water stains from watering, manure smudges from composting, and a fresh lavender sprig tucked in the folds, replacing the morning's crumbled relic. You're headed to the chapel for Compline, the night prayers, your boots scuffing the flagstones as you cross the courtyard. Your satchel slung over your shoulder, tools silent, but your body's heavy, the day's grind settling in your bones. Those parsley-munching rabbits are out there, plotting under the stars, but for now, you're fighting a different battle, staying awake through the chants. Compline, as recorded in monastic rules like those of Barking Abbey, was the final prayer of the day, a quiet ritual to surrender the soul to sleep and God. You slip into the chapel, the familiar glow of candles casting shadows on the stone walls, their beeswax scent mingling with old incense. You find your spot near the back, knees groaning as you kneel on the worn cushion, the cold stone biting through your habit. The sisters' voices rise, soft and slow. Nunc dimittis servum tuum, and you join in, your voice a tired thread in the weave. Your mind drifts to the parsley bed, its thorny barrier holding strong, and you hope the rabbits are sulking. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure chronicles, believe Compline psalms sung with true heart could protect the nunnery from night's dangers, like wolves or thieves. You're not sure about wolves, but you take a psalm shield against those rabbits any day. Your hands, gritty from the garden, fidget with your veil, which is barely clinging on after a day of chaos. Sister Beatrice is up front, her chant annoyingly perfect, and you resist a yawn. Her glares are worse than any wolf. The chapel's dim, the stained glass window of St. Hilda dark now, and you're struggling, the day's weight pulling your eyelids down. Historians still argue whether night prayers like Compline were a spiritual balm or just exhausting ritual. Do they soothe you or just test your stamina? Your team's stamina, especially now, with your back aching from compost turning and your knees screaming for vespers. A quick joke to keep it light. Why is Compline so sleepy? It's the yawn of the day. You bite your lip, hiding a smirk as you chant, careful not to catch the prioress's sharp gaze. The novice from breakfast is nearby, her psalter slipping, and you nudge it back, a small kindness. She's half asleep, poor thing. The candles flicker, their smoke curling like a whisper, and you shift, your satchel nudging your hip, the trowel inside, a quiet reminder of the garden. The chant's rhythm is soothing, like the cricket's hum at dusk, but your heart's still out there, with the chamomile and leeks you've fought for all day. You picture Sister Agnes, her cough syrup safe thanks to your harvest, and feel a flicker of pride. Another joke. What do nuns chant at night? Let us rest. You stifle a grin, your voice faltering as sleep creeps in. The prioress leads the final hymn, her tone clear and unwavering, and you admire her, even if she'd scold you for the dirt under your nails. The hymn ends, and you rise, knees creaking louder than the garden gate. The sisters file out, their habits whispering, and you linger, watching a candle's flame waver. It's a moment of stillness, a bridge between the garden's dirt and the chapel's calm. You step into the cloister, the night air cold and bracing, stars pricking the sky. The courtyard's empty, the nunnery settling into silence, and you're headed to your cell, the promise of sleep tugging you forward. The garden's waiting for tomorrow, its beds thriving under your care, and you're ready to collapse, rabbits or no rabbits. For now, you breathe deep, the lavender sprigs scent grounding you, and trudge toward rest. You shuffle through the cloister, the night air biting at your exposed hands, the stars above sharp and bright against a velvet sky. It's around 8 p.m., and the nunnery's hush wraps around you, broken only by the soft crunch of your boots on the gravel path. Your habits a battle-worn relic, mud from weeding, water stains from watering, manure smudges from composting, and that fresh lavender sprig, its faint scent a quiet comfort in your folds. You're headed to your cell for bedtime rituals, the day's labor heavy in your limbs, your satchel slung low, tools silent after Compline's drowsy chants. Those parsley-munching rabbits are out there, scheming in the dark, but your thorny barrier's holding, and all you can think about is your straw mattress and the promise of sleep. Medieval nuns, as records from Sion Abbey note, ended their days with simple rituals, washing, praying, and collapsing into basic beds, ready to repeat the cycle at dawn. You push open your cell's wooden door, its hinges groaning, and step into the 6 by 8 foot space. The air's cold, smelling of stone and faint chamomile from a sachet you tucked under your pillow, a callback to your dusk harvest. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some nuns, per obscure lore, believed sleeping with a sprig of rue under the bed could ward off nightmares. You tried it once, smelled awful, and you still dreamed of Beatrice's glares. Your candle, a stub on a shelf, sputters as you light it, casting a warm glow over the sparse room. A straw mattress, a wool blanket, and a peg for your habit. You splash icy water from a clay basin onto your face, wincing as it stings, washing away the day's grit. Your hands, rough and dirt-stained, scrub at the worst of the soil, though your nails stay stubbornly black. You untie your veil, letting it fall, and shake out your hair, feeling a rare moment of freedom. The lavender sprig drops to the floor, and you pick it up, tucking it into your sleeve for tomorrow. You're bone-tired, your knees aching from vespers and Compline, your arms heavy from buckets and compost. The garden's safe, though. The leeks are tall, The chamomile's thriving, and Sister Agnes's syrup is stocked, thanks to you. Historians still argue whether nuns like you found peace in these quiet rituals or just endured them. Did bedtime soothe your soul, or was it just a pit stop before another grueling day? Your team pit stop, mostly because sleep's calling louder than any psalm. A quick joke to keep it light. Why is a nun's bed so cozy? It's stuffed with holy straw. You smirk, peeling off your outer habit, leaving the linen shift underneath. You hang the habit on the peg, its dirt streaks glowing faintly in the candlelight, a map of your day's battles. The mattress crinkles as you sink onto it, the blanket scratchy but warm, and you blow out the candle, the room plunging into dark. Another joke. What do nuns dream of? Peace and quiet. You chuckle softly, pulling the blanket tighter. The cell's silent, save for the distant hoot of an owl and the faint creak of the nunnery settling. You picture the garden, its beds tucked in under the stars, the parsley safe behind your thorns. The rabbits can plot, but you've won today, every weed pulled, every herb harvested, a small victory for the nunnery. Your eyes drift shut, the lavender's scent lingering, and you're slipping, the line between waking and dreaming blurring as the day fades. The world softens now, the garden's hum fading into a gentle whisper, like leaves brushing in a breeze. You're sinking deeper, the weight of the day lifting, your breath slowing to match the quiet rhythm of the night. The nunnery's walls, so solid and cold, seem distant, their edges blurring as you drift. The chamomile beds, the leeks, the thorny parsley barrier, they're safe, resting under the same stars that peek through your cell's narrow window. There's no need to fight now, no rabbits to chase, no weeds to pull. Your hands, rough and tired, rest still, the soil's memory fading into warmth. The lavender's scent wraps you, a soft thread tying you to the earth, to tomorrow's light. Sleep comes gently, a tide pulling you under, and you let go, the nunnery's heartbeat lulling you into peace. Rest now, gardener. You've earned it, and the garden will wait, blooming quietly until dawn.